If you are not participating in the panel, I'm going to ask that you mute your microphones. I do want to advise everyone that this will be recorded and will be posted on our website. So people who aren't able to participate will be able to get the information as well. If that is makes you uncomfortable, then I would recommend going ahead and exiting now. The recording is running. I would like to allow each of the board participants to introduce themselves, and I will start with Jesse.
Good morning, everyone. Well, afternoon, everyone. My name is Jesse Brunsma. I'm the CSE examination analyst, for the California Architects Board. I've been here about 5 years now, almost 5 years, and I've worked in pretty much every step of the process for the licensing process. So each step of the procedure I've had a little hand in, so I hopefully will be able to answer any of your questions that come up in this FAQ today. And I'll go ahead and hand it off to Oscar.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Oscar, and I am the Continuing Education and Licensing Analyst for CAB. I've been doing this position for a little bit over a year now, and I'm here to assist anyone with any questions that they have as well. I will hand this over to Amy Cernicki. You're muted, Amy.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm Amy Cernicki. I'm the Architect Registration Exam Analyst. I've been in with CAB for about 3 years. I've been in the position as the ARE Analyst since December of 2022. And I hope I can answer any questions you have. And I'll hand it back to Marcus.
All right, thank you. So we'd ask that you raise your hand when you want to ask a question of us, and then we'll do our very best to provide an answer. Anyone want to start off? Gabriel Ruspini, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, what is the question that you have?
The question I have is regarding the rolling clock policy. As you may know, NCARB has lifted their rolling clock policy when it comes to the NCARB exams. So to say that previous to them lifting the rolling clock policy, exam passes would expire after 5 years, but they decided to abandon that rolling clock policy and reinstate the passes for previously past exams over 5 years. But if I'm not mistaken, that is not something that's not a policy change that as of this date has been mirrored or also approved by the state of California. If I'm not mistaken, in order for that to happen, the rule needs to change. Some legislation needs to be made or amended. I was wondering if the California Architects Board could elaborate on further on the rolling clock policy. If the state has an intention of sometime now or in the future of lifting the rolling clock policy as NCARB has, and if so, when does the state estimate that this will happen?
Okay, it's a very good question. So when NCARB made the decision to retire the rolling clock, they were aware that some states have that codified in their regulations. We happen to be one of those states. Right now, we are working on a regulatory amendment that would also retire the rolling clock for our candidates. The process can take anywhere from 18 to 24 months. It does take some time. There are control agencies involved that have to approve the process. It has to go before the board. So I don't have a specific time frame, but the general time frame that I gave you, 18 to 24 months. That's typically how long it does take to go through all the way up to the Office of Administrative Law, which makes the approvals of regulatory provisions. Did I answer your question?
Yes, 18 to 24 months. I understand. It seems to me that this is something that the state wants to do, and that is the time frame in which you are estimating that it may happen. So thank you. Yes, you've answered my question.
Great. Next, we have Brian Scott.
Yes, good afternoon. So to follow up on Gabriel's question, if I'm understanding the CAB's website, you're not supposed to take the supplemental exam until all the AREs are passed. But for those of us that have already passed a number under division or under the 4.0 guidelines, if we finish the exams that we would be missing under the new guidelines, so essentially when the regulation gets passed, we're complete. Are we going to be allowed to start the supplemental exam before the regulatory stuff is finished?
Okay, so right now, because of the way the regulations are written, you would not be eligible if you have not completed all divisions of the ARE, because those divisions were expired in accordance with the regulations and the rolling clock. So they're no longer valid until our regulatory amendment has been approved, and there'll be an operative date. But the way currently we're looking at the language, it may allow for you in the future to take the exam. And I have to say may, because I don't know your specific candidate history. And we would have to look at, that situation. I recommend, you can call the office as we do get closer to the regulation being approved by the Office of Administrative Law. We will be posting the proposed amended language to our website. So I would definitely recommend joining our subscriber list to keep informed of the progress. Check our website as well. But right now, because you would be in that situation where you would not be eligible, we can't allow an individual to take the CSE unless they are currently eligible. Jesse, do you have anything to add to that?
No, that covers anything I would add to that answer.
So if I finish my exams in the next 3 or 4 months, which I have 3, I'm going to end up waiting 18 months to take an additional exam. I'm just going to say that's going to encourage me to look for another state to become licensed. I would think that would be the situation with a lot of candidates.
And so if I may, so if you currently have valid 4.0 divisions that are still within that 5-year expiration date, and you finish your remaining divisions in ARE 5.0. While those 4.0s are still valid under the rolling clock policy, then you will be able to move forward. But if those 4.0 divisions are allowed to expire with California, since they won't technically expire with NCAR, but if they expire with us, then in that situation, then you would need to, possibly wait until the amendments are done with the regulations.
No, yeah, I understand that. I'm a vet. And I called the cab before I left for Iraq and got stuck on active duty for 3 years and was told my clock would be reset. And there was nothing on the website at that time. And that was like 8 years ago. And I'm glad that y'all have that policy fixed now, but my exams expired. So I guess I get to wait.
Yeah, Marcus, I don't know.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Jesse, you were saying?
Yeah. Oh no, you're good. I was going to see if you had anything to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, without knowing the history, I would recommend contacting the board. Because your candidate history is private, and this would not be a forum to discuss that. But I would say contact the board, and we could look into the history there. But if the exam divisions have expired, because the rolling clock has been in effect since 2006, and it was on our website indicating that all divisions will expire within 5 years of when that division, any specific division was taken. So I don't, know based on what you're saying, the information that you said you were provided, if we're talking about eligibility is different than the 5-year rolling clock.
No, sir. Let me stop you. That way you're not wasting it. It's probably my situation. I passed 3 exams, went on active duty for a number of years because I got called to service, came home, tried to finish my exams, essentially had less than a year and a half to finish my exams, and was told, too bad, if you expire, you lose the exams that have expired. Y'all didn't have a policy for people that have been on active duty for a number of years in the middle of their exams. I'm probably the only one like that, but it is something that maybe should be addressed when y'all do the regulations.
Okay, and I would recommend that you call and speak with either Amy or Jesse, and we can look more at your candidate record.
Awesome, thank you. I appreciate your time. I don't want to take up any more.
No, all right. Any other? Let's see here. I'm looking at the list. Anyone else have any questions? I'm not seeing anyone with raised hands who want to ask us a question. William. Yes. Let's see if I can.
Nope. William, you're on mute.
Yeah, you're muted, William.
Oh, how's that?
Yes.
Ah, perfect. Thank you all for the access. Bill Hogan, Los Angeles. Testing since 2009. I've never failed a section of the ARE, but I'll be damned if I could line it all up. And even now, I only have one left, save for the fact that I need to take PPP for the 3rd time. And, based on the prior commentary, this is a long shot, but, professional troubleshooter, right? Any chance of getting access to the CSE while one, waits for, my 4 PPP taken twice, to catch up with me, unlikely. So anyway, thanks for the access. And I missed the first couple of minutes. Sorry. I take it you're looking at or at the feedback. Give or take. That a true.
Jesse, can you answer William's question?
I'm so sorry. What was the last part? It cut out on me.
The expected time frame that I will get PPP under 4 passed twice already. When might I get that back? It sounded like 18 months. I mean, I came in a couple minutes late. Apologies.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, no worries. So yeah, if you had, previously had passed 4.0 divisions that have since expired due to the rolling clock regulations, then once, we get through the process and that switch is flipped, I believe it should, you may get those back. I can't guarantee that because we don't know what the actual language is, but following logically, it should, we can guess that they're going to flip that switch for you. And once we have the rolling clock removed from our regulations, then we can accept an approved score from NCARB. So essentially what would happen is if NCARB is going to reactivate those 4.0s and send us a summary of completion saying that you've completed all AREs, and even if some of those are 4.0s, once our regulations are amended, we may be able to accept those, and then they should be revalidated. So
right, but on the timeline for the amendment at your end is a year and a half, give or take. I mean, is that roughly what you're looking at?
Well, so it's hard to give an exact timeline because it's hard to predict exactly how fast these amendments are going to go through the process. But that's generally what we have been advertising, because that's the common timeline for changes of this nature. So that's why we're saying that year and a half wait. So we would always recommend that if you do have 4.0 divisions that may still be valid, that maybe haven't expired yet, to just continue through the exams. I wouldn't recommend waiting until they might possibly be made valid again, because then you might be waiting, a year and a half, 2 years. If it's feasible, I would definitely recommend just continuing through the 5.0, and then while we're going forward, and then maybe once that switch is flipped, and if those, once those 4.0s are made valid again for us, then you might not have to finish anything you have left. They may cover, specific 5.0 divisions, and you may be, good to go after that.
Right. No.
So. Yeah.
Totally understood. Thank you for the commentary. We all have similar cases, but then particular too. No, I'll just, if I want to get licensed in the next year, which would be good after, 20 years of hacking away at it. And I've never failed it. And and now I know more today about architecture and its practice than I did, the last. Anyway, I'll take PPP a third time. I've got one other, I have a 5.0 section. I've never, so I mean, I will be, but that is the traction issue writ large. I mean, let's face it, it just is. And okay, well, such is life. And thank you again for that. I do appreciate it.
Very welcome.
And let me add that the reason, because I've seen a few comments in the chat, the reason it takes a while is because, number one, the language has to be vetted through the legal process. And so it has to be reviewed by multiple agencies that are superior to us. So it has to be vetted by our department, and then it has to be vetted by the agency of which our department is a part. There's also a requirement of notification to the public. So the board meets 4 times a year. The language has to go to the board. The language then has to, and before it can even go there, it has to go through a review process. And it goes through that review process. Ultimately, it ends up where there's a comment period. After the end of the comment period, any information that's provided by the people commenting, that has to be taken into consideration. So it's a public participatory process to amend a regulation. It's not something where we can, with a stroke of the pen, just say, okay, this is the new regulation. And I can understand, the frustration that, it takes a couple of years to do that. It's also kind of a good thing, in the sense that it's getting vetted, it's going through the proper channels and getting reviewed before it's approved. And, I would definitely recommend to anyone that is close, in the process, to try and finish it under 5.0 if they can, because it could take 18 to 24 months, and we don't know the feedback that we're going to receive from the control agencies.
Great, thank you for that. It's easier to study for PP, clearly.
You're welcome. Are there any other hands raised? I'm not seeing any other questions from anyone.
Yeah, I have a question. I can't raise the hand here from my interface. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Marcus? Yes. Yeah, so I wanted to know, is there any way I could prepare for California supplemental exam before I'm done with all the other exams? Or do I need to wait till I've completed and passed all the 5.0 and then start considering and studying for the California supplemental exam?
So you can start preparing really, whenever you feel like you're ready to start studying for that exam. The board's website, we have the California Supplemental Exam Handbook, which is available there. That's going to be your one-stop resource for most of the information that's going to help you prepare for the exam. It'll tell you what you can expect at the test center, what ID you need to bring, early to show up, how to schedule. It's a great resource, and I highly recommend going to the board's website and checking that out when you are, for anyone who is getting ready to prepare for the CSE. Yeah, and then our website will also have other useful material for you to start preparing as well, like the reference materials, which are updated regularly to make sure that they're current. We have sample questions there. The test plan is available in the handbook, but the website and the handbook are going to be your biggest resources for preparing for the exam. The board, we're not allowed to publish or endorse any. There is no official study material for the CSE that is published by the board. You can find items like that out there, but again, we don't endorse any of that. We don't review any of it. It doesn't come through us. So we always recommend that candidates check out the website and the CSE handbook. If I was going to make a recommendation, just as someone from the outside, because I'm not an architect, I work here for the board and I assist you all in getting through the process to become architects. But I usually try to recommend people take it in steps. So if you're currently working on the ARE, it would probably be more beneficial to focus on specific content that you need to know for whatever division of the ARE you're going to pass. And then once you've completed those AREs, you can start preparing as you would like, but that's completely up to you. But if I was going to make any recommendation from the outside looking in, it would be to try to take it in small sections. So focus on the step you're on currently first, get past that, that check mark, and then move on to the next. But you can start preparing using that reference material and the handbook, whenever you would like.
Yeah, I just want to kind of get a feel for what it's like. I may not necessarily start studying for that, but right at this moment, it's just that I have no idea what it entails, and just want to get a feel for it. Is there any way you could include the link to the handbook on the website?
So the I'll go ahead and put it in the chat here. in just a second so that everyone can get the link to the website. But if you go to www.cab.ca.gov, there's going to be a row of buttons on the top of that website, and one of those is candidates. And if you click in there and then scroll down to California Supplemental Exam, then it's going to have all of that information there for you. So the reference material, the handbook, sample questions, things of that nature, the overview, and then that's going to be the best place. But I will definitely go ahead and put the link to the website and the link to the CSE handbook here in the chat here in a couple seconds.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the website and many different sections of it. It's just that I didn't know about the handbook. I wanted to make sure I can locate it. So it's under Candidates California Supplemental Exams.
Yep, and then there should be a little kind of a drop-down menu there. It's going to have different options for you, and one of those should be the CSE handbook. So it should be available right in that California Supplemental Exam section of the website. And I'm going to go ahead and put the.
Okay, thank you.
That is the link right here for the CSE handbook. And I'm sorry, did that adequately answer your question, or did you have any other
Yes,
questions about the
yes,
CSE?
Thank you so much, yeah.
You're very welcome. You're unmuted, Marcus.
Next, we have Bradford, who has a question.
Yeah. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi. I posted a few questions in the chat. Not sure if you saw those. One of them was about renewal for licensure. Are there reminders that are emailed out by chance or no before expiration?
Yes, there is. It is a renewal notice that is sent approximately 90 days in advance to the address of record that we have in the system. So if you did not receive that, you can go to our website, and we do have the renewal application there. It's it's an a portal that you would go to, and if you go to cab.ca.gov, you'll see over in the corner where it says renew online, and you can renew that way.
Gotcha.
And
did you say that they're physically mailed out, or are they emailed?
So they're physically mailed out to individuals. It's an automated process that physically mails them out. And yours could have possibly been lost in the mail. As long as you've kept your address up to date, it would go out to your current address. But as I mentioned, if you did not get that, it's our online renewal portal, and it just says online license renewal when you get to the homepage of our website.
Okay.
Click that little bar there, and it will go ahead and take you there. There's also, it's been added to the chat as well, the link. And then once there, you'll be able to just enter your license number. And then as long as none of the conditions that are listed there apply, you should be able to renew online. It takes credit card. I don't know if it takes debit card, but it does take credit card.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This other question, I saw that Oscar Diaz responded that you're the person to reach out to with continuing education specific questions. Is that right?
That's correct. Go ahead.
Okay. And then also, are your it looks like your names are those your email addresses, like oscar@dca.org, if I needed to reach out to you?
It's slightly different. It's oscar.diaz@dca.ca.gov.
ECA. Could you say that one more time? I'm sorry. Oscar.Diaz.
Yes, I'll go ahead and type it in as well.
Oh,
it
great.
is oscar.diaz@dca.ca.gov.
Okay, perfect. And that would be the same for everyone else on the panel there.
That's correct.
First name dot last name at dca.ca.gov. Perfect. Okay. Last question I posted was I never received my certificates. I received one WELL certificate, but there are two others you're supposed to get as well, right? There's like a pocket one and a desk something. Aren't there three? And there's some delay in the printing of them, or
Correct. There was a
This-
delay with the printing. A vendor had a delay in that. What I would recommend is contact our licensing technician, Brian.
I
Brian Isley, and he can assist you. He can look into your record and see what the situation is. And
Yeah.
if we need to, we can get those reordered for you.
Gotcha. I did reach out to him, and he responded saying that they were delayed, but it wasn't clear as to when, if there was any kind of direction forward or projected change. It just was kind of left open. So I was just curious if anyone else had any idea.
Yeah, no, they should right now. They should be caught up with those. But if you can provide him with your license number and the information,
Yep, I did.
you know, okay, then I can check with him and we can look into it on our side.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Did you have any other continuing education questions specifically?
I think I'll probably reach out separately to you if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, I do want to add something. If you do need proof of licensure for some reason, we, in the interim until we get those documents to you, what I'd recommend is if you go to our website and you go to the search feature, it's in the upper right corner. Let me go to our homepage. And it says license search. There's also a button at the top of the list of buttons there. Select that, and then once you put your license number in there, you'll see it display, and then that you can print that out as a temporary way if you need to show proof of licensure. And Jesse has gone ahead and added the link to the license search in the chat.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Do we have any other hands raised? Any other questions?
I do see a question in the chat from Cheryl. Can we take the California board exam through PSI online platform? So there are no plans to move the supplemental examination to an online format, just due to the security of the exam, and that's really our main concern is maintaining security of the exam and the integrity of the exam. So there are no plans to make the CSE online. It will continue to be an in-person physical test center exam.
And also to add to that, that there are documents that you need when you take the exam that we can't distribute out, which is different than the way NCARB does their exam because of the types. Everyone knows that there's a project section and a general section to the exam. The project section, we wouldn't be able to allow those documents to be out in the wild. That would be a security issue. So for right now, it's definitely where we would have to have it at a test center for administration.
Thank you for clarifying that, Marcus.
Sure. So, any other questions from anyone, any of the guests? Any questions in the chat, anyone?
I'm going through it and seeing if there's anything that we've missed. No, it looks like we've covered everything in the chat unless no one has any raises any hands or adds anything now. All right, Gabriel, how can we help you?
You're on mute.
Hold on a second. Sorry. Thank you again. I guess I don't have a question. It's just rather an observation. Given that the majority of the questions revolved around the rolling clock policy, it would appear to me that the California Architects Board has no other issue more urgent, at least from the perspective of architectural candidates, than the implementation of the amendments to the rolling clock policy.
And that's why, we're working on, amending that language. But, as I mentioned, there are control agencies. It has to go through legal review. So that's where the process is. We're working right now, like we say, the time frame is 18 to 24 months. It could take less time than that. It just depends on, how long it takes to go through the various agencies that have to approve it. And unfortunately, those agencies are superior to us, so it's not like we, can go ahead and, we are seeking to do this as quickly as possible. But there's limitations, on us because of the fact that it has to go to control agencies. It has to, by law, be noticed so that people have an opportunity to comment on it. That's a 45-day period. Once it's been published in the register from the Office of Administrative Law. So those are legal requirements. And, the notice requirement is extremely important. It lets people know that an agency is seeking to pass a regulation, and it provides a period of time for them to comment on it. That's that public participation that we're required to provide. So that's all of that gets factored in to the review process. And as I mentioned, just keep looking at our website, subscribe to our list, our subscriber list. There's a button for it on our homepage to be kept in the loop of how it's progressing.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, and thank you for your help.
Anytime, my pleasure.
I see a question in the chat. Are there any update/news or hope for passing regarding CSE that we'd like to share with the chat? If I can, what exactly are you looking for with the question? Like any updates to the CSE process or reference material, anything like that?
I don't know if they heard.
Policy. Okay. So
okay,
policies.
it's in the
So
chat.
nothing has changed with the CSE regarding the policies around it. The same requirements are still in place. Those haven't changed. Once a candidate is made eligible for the CSE and you've met our requirements, you have 5 years from that date to sit for the exam at least once. Just like with all the other exams. And as Marcus mentioned, that is not going away. That's separate from the rolling clock. Rolling clock applies to the past exams that you've completed already and passed. The test activity status state applies to how often a candidate is required to sit for an exam. So nothing has really changed regarding the policies and requirements for the CSE. As compared to what's listed on our website and what we provide to you guys through individual communication. I hope that answered the question you had.
Do we have anyone else that's interested in asking us a question?
Mark,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I can't raise hand. Don't have the option here from my interface. My apologies.
Okay.
I wanted to know, where can we get a copy of the recording of this meeting?
It'll be available. I'm sorry.
Where do we, it would be available on the website or on YouTube?
It'll be available on the website.
I see.
It will take a little time once it's done, but it will be posted on our website.
Okay, great. Thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions in the chat?
I'm not seeing anything in the chat, Marcus. Does anyone have a question they'd like to kind of speak up, or you just kind of speak in? We will. Okay, that's got posted there. Okay. So yeah, Jane, who is our admin manager here at the board, it will be posted on the to social media as well once it's available. She clarified.
Thanks, Jesse.
No problem.
So we're about another 20 or so minutes before the conclusion of this live FAQs. Are there any questions, anything that candidates would like to know about the licensure process or any licensees that happen to be participating in this FAQ? Are there any questions from licensees? I'm not seeing any hands raised. Somebody raise a hand, or
And if you don't have the option to raise a hand, and if it's it's clear, just go ahead and kind of start talking, and we'll try to answer what we can.
There's a new question in the chat.
Yeah.
So do you have to be a citizen to take the exams? Can a green card holder apply for the exam? So yeah, you do not need to be a U.S. citizen to sit for the exams. However, you do need to have been issued at least an SSN or an individual taxpayer identification number, an ITIN, because all of our applications now, even if they're submitted by paper, are processed in our online system, and the online system requires a social security number before we can move forward with the application, and it's actually required by statute. You need to at least have a social security number and ITIN, and you can apply, but yeah, you do not need to be a US citizen specifically to sit for the exams.
We're getting last minute people joining.
Do we have some
To anyone who is just joining us, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand, and we will get to those in the order that they are raised, or submit your questions to the chat, and we will get to those as we go down through the chat options. Go ahead, Sam.
Sorry if anyone has asked this before, but does California have planned to sunset the rolling clock like many other states?
Yeah, no, so yes, yeah, we it is in the process. We did discuss this in greater detail earlier in the meeting, so I would definitely recommend once it's available to go ahead and view the recording, just so you can get all of that information. But in short, yes, we are currently working to mirror our language and our regulations with NCARB's rolling clock policy. That is the reason why we can't simply flip the switch like NCARB did with other states that didn't have it. It's codified in our regulations. So our hands are tied in moving through the regulatory process and before we can make that switch. But we are working towards that, and right now plan on it could be 18 to 24 months, could be less, but 18 to 24 months is your typical timeline for changes of this nature.
Is there anything in the, I'm seeing here in the chat, heard you mention it'd be 18 to 24 months to implement the rolling clock. Where are you in the process currently? We're looking at 18 to 24 months from now. Okay, so to answer that question, because this was just recent with NCARB, we're currently in the process of developing the language, and that language will have to go through a legal review before we can go ahead and move it forward to the board for the board's approval. And then there are public comment periods that are required. The public comment period is required to allow public participation. And once that has been finished, and it has to be noticed, it has to be published in the register, the regulatory register. And once that's done and it gets approved by the Office of Administrative Law, then based on the implementation date, we can start at that point. I hope that answers the question. And that was for Felicia. That was Felicia's question that I was responding to.
Now, since I don't see any new questions, I do want to just kind of take this chance to kind of make everyone in here aware who may be a candidate and going through is currently going through the process. We do have the online application submission tool now, DCA Connect. So if you're already a candidate with the board and you have already submitted your application to apply for eligibility with us, and you haven't become inactive, so you've been active in the testing process, you can go ahead and register a DCA Connect account, but please do not submit, duplicates of any applications that you've already submitted to the board on a paper form, and vice versa. So if you apply online, so maybe submit a CSE application, you only need to submit it online. You don't need to submit, a physical form and check. But it is the quickest way to submit an application and even documentation to the board now. So we definitely check that out as an option. And if you're getting ready to submit maybe a CSE application, or you're getting ready to just apply with the board for the first time, definitely go check out DCA Connect to register, and you can submit your application there. And I'm going to I'll go ahead and put a link in the chat as well for everyone to see. But I just kind of wanted to throw that out there as kind of a public service announcement that is an option, and to use it if you are so inclined. It is up and running.
And for Cheryl, your question about, so technically if you pass all the exams, but you're outside the California's rolling clock, yes, you can go ahead and get licensed in another state.
But just to kind of add into that, not to get too into the weeds here, but also keep in mind, if you got licensed, with 4.0 divisions that are expired, we still will not be able to accept those if you're applying through reciprocal licensure, because they're technically going to be, for us in California, invalid scores. So just something to keep in mind. There's no guarantee that if you go to another state that has removed the rolling clock policy and get licensed there and apply with us, that we will be able to accept those scores, at least until the amendments come to the regulation is done. So I just wanted to, clarify that so that no one, gets into a situation where they submit all that documentation and they still can't, they're not eligible. I see one more question. So will the rolling clock policy changes reflect on CSE exam content? So no, not at all. So the CSE is specifically designed by California architects to not retest candidates on the same information that is tested for in the ARE. So we perform a linkage study, every couple years to make sure that nothing that you're seeing in the ARE is being repeated in the CSE. So the removal of the rolling clock policy will not affect the CSE in any way. And there is another question, can we apply before completing all the exams? So yeah, you can apply with the California board, at any time. I can't speak for other boards. I would reach out to them individually, any state you're interested in, achieving a license in and seeing what their individual requirements are. But with the California board, yeah, you would need to apply with us before you can even take the exams. We review submitted documentation, transcripts, and work experience, and we would then turn on your access to the ARE through your NCARB record. So at least for the ARE, for all of the exams, you would need to be a candidate with us before we can turn on your eligibility. You can seek eligibility for the ARE through other states if maybe their requirements are easier to meet, or you can already move forward with them. But just keep in mind that should you switch your jurisdiction to California after receiving that eligibility in another state, that gets shut off, and you can't schedule any more exams until we review documentation and we basically re-verify that you're eligible under our requirements. So the rule of thumb is just if you're planning on taking the ARE in California, you're going to need to apply, establish an NCARB record, select California as the jurisdiction for licensure on that NCARB record, and then submit, a separate application to the boards, to the California Architects Board, so that you can establish your candidacy with us, because we're two separate organizations. If eligibility expires, what is the process and timeline to get reinstated? So your eligibility, your test activity status will expire if for any candidate who does not sit for an examination within 5 years from the date they were first deemed eligible by the board, or from the date of their last exam division. So say, for example, if you sat for a division yesterday, July 19th, 2023, whether it's pass or fail, your expiration date gets pushed out to 7/19/2028, so 5 years from that date. If you should go inactive and you need to reestablish eligibility, you would just resubmit an application for eligibility evaluation if you are an initial licensure candidate, or you would resubmit a reciprocal licensure application if you are someone who is coming through as a reciprocal licensure candidate. So you would just need to resubmit the appropriate application and fee to reestablish your candidate record with us. It'll reactivate your candidate record, and then you can continue, moving back through the process. But just make sure, and it is possible that you may have to submit all of your documentation, because if you go inactive and you're inactive for more than 2 years, the board does have the right to purge those documents, all of the documents in the file. So just make sure, that everyone's on top of their testing. Keep at least once every 5 years, whether you pass or fail. And then if you do happen to go inactive, I would highly recommend reapplying with the board within 2 years from that date, because it is possible that your documentation could be purged completely. If I'm an APEC, so what exactly is an APEC architect in another, is it just an architect in another country? Okay, yeah, so if you hold an architect license in any other country or in a qualifying foreign country, your only option to come in through reciprocal licensure in California is to become NCARB certified as a foreign architect. So say if you hold a license in just Mexico, for example, there is an MRA, mutual recognition agreement with Mexico, but that does not mean that you don't have to meet all the requirements. It essentially means that it's going to be easier for you to get certified with NCARB. And then once you have been issued a foreign architect certificate, which is different from your NCARB record, it's an entirely separate process. And I would, for any architect who's licensed in a foreign country and is interested in reciprocal licensure, I would highly recommend reaching out to NCARB and getting some information on their certification process, because that's your only way to come in through reciprocal licensure as a foreign licensed architect. And so the link for NCARB, yeah, I will go ahead and if I can, I'll put in a link to get to NCARB's customer service so that people can reach out to them if they have questions regarding that. You're very welcome.
And I see Darnell has his hand up.
Yes, I must. Hello, everyone. I probably don't have the most updated version for Team, and I was wondering the link that you said you was going to send. I don't have access to the chat, so if you can follow it via email, it would be greatly appreciated. I just didn't see the option on my my version.
And this is for Darnell Parker.
Yeah, there's no chat here, so maybe.
No problem. Are you currently a candidate with us?
Yes, I'm sitting for licensure as we speak.
Okay. I believe I have your record up. I don't want to give out any of your information in the chat. Can you just confirm your date of birth for me?
I would say let's do that offline.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just want to see if I have the right email address. That's all, because that's.
I would say, how about Darnell contact our board, contact your number, and you guys can do the discussion.
Yeah, that's better that way.
Marcus.
Yes, that way.
Yeah.
And I apologize. Yeah, we don't want any of your information out there. Not that anyone would do anything, nefarious with it, but just to be secure.
Yeah.
And so, Gabriel, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you again. Something just occurred to me when you were talking about eligibility in California. How would a person go about checking on what their eligibility in California is?
So the easiest way to do that would be to reach out to the board. So either through email at the cab@dca.ca.gov. So all of our email addresses, the contact email addresses are going to be on the board's website in the contact us section of the website. So I would highly recommend reaching out to either cab candidate email address or the cab@dca email address, and just provide your name and your cab ID if you know it. If not, even an NCARB record will help us locate you. But just your name and what you're asking for, that you're interested in checking on the status of your eligibility, and then we'll go. One of our exam technicians, based on letter group, will go ahead and get back to you with that information.
Okay, because I'm concerned because I do have eligibility with NCARB, but if I understand correctly, that's not necessarily the same thing as having eligibility in California.
Correct. Yeah. So if you have established an NCARB record, and then remind me, are you a candidate or a licensee?
I am I don't know what the difference is. I guess I'm
he's a candidate.
You're a candidate. Okay. Yeah. So you're a candidate.
A license.
Yeah, so so that would make you a candidate. So then if you are, so if you established your NCARB record, that's great. That's the first step. That allows us to, view your transcripts if you have them saved or verified on your NCARB record. We can access your transcripts there. It does not share work experience. So if you've logged experience to AXP, That does not get shared with us. We don't grant credit for that right away, but more specific to your question, sorry. So if you've already established your NCARB record with NCARB, now you would want to submit a application for eligibility evaluation and a $100 fee to the California Architects Board, and that will establish you as a candidate with our board. So you've done the first part, and then once you submit that application to us, that establishes you as a candidate with the board, and then that's how we can go in and turn on your testing for ARE once we verify all the required documentation and that all the requirements are met.
And if you've already applied with the board, then you should contact us and we can check on your testing eligibility, because if you're still active in the testing process, you don't want to submit another application for eligibility evaluation.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I would imagine, yeah, if I'm already eligible, I wouldn't want to do that, but first and foremost, I have to find out whether I'm eligible. I may have done that, but I just can't recall. It's been a while since I started this whole thing. But I will check with the emails that I can send to CAB and take it from there. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. You're very welcome. And just to clarify, so Cheryl, your question in the chat, if you're already testing, then that means I'm already a candidate with the board. So I want to clarify. So if your eligibility to sit for the ARE was granted by the California Architects Board, then yes, you are a candidate with the board. If you applied with us, submitted transcripts or work experience, and we, notified you're eligible to test and we've turned on your testing, then yes, you're a candidate with the California Architects Board. But if you have started the ARE with another jurisdiction, another state, and you're testing, then you're only a candidate with that state. You're not a candidate with us yet. I just wanted to clarify in case anyone had that same question.
Okay, we have, let's see. I don't think we have any other hands.
I don't see any questions in the chat.
Okay. Well, it is 1 p.m. and there being no hands raised or no further questions in the chat, we'd like to thank everyone who joined us today. And if you have any feedback on the live FAQs, please send it to cab@cab.dca.
GOV.
Gov. So it's cab@dca.ca.gov, and give us your feedback. This is the first time we've done this, and we're hoping that you found it helpful. And we wish everyone a great day.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you for participating. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.